is being able to say, for me, to be able to say, Katharine, you know, you are your own person, and that I trust you, and I'm not, being a big sister doesn't necessarily mean I have to approve.
Although you did help her do her, you made sure she did her homework, checked her grades.
Well, see, okay.
Right, you're with a psychiatrist.
No.
Right.
Like, here's the thing. Adriana was always like really good, like fast at school. I had a really difficult time in elementary school just because I had, like, the reading was really hard for me. And I was like, miss, like, I just want to go play, you know. The school thing was hard for me. So I remember she would, like, I'd beg her, because she was, like, very moral at a young age. She's like, I can't do your homework. I'm like, please, I want to go and play. And she'd, like, do, like, okay. And she'd answer, like, 4 questions, and we go outside and play. You know, we're in a lot. Like,
there you go.
But I don't recommend that for other big sisters.
For other big sisters.
Hey,
do your own
works. Do it.
So tell me, as 2 beautiful young women.
Oh, thanks.
Now, but even when you were kids, you were adorable.
Thanks.
And you were both pursuing competitive skills, right? The arts, which is so competitive. How did you make sure to have separate identities?
We're so different.
What are the differences?
I don't know.
I'm a theater geek.
She's
I'm
a
really
theater person.
I'm definitely a theater.
She went to school for musical theater. So did I. But I was kind of like, it wasn't like what I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was, you know.
And I think the big thing is I never wanted to be a pop star. That was something that a lot of people say to me throughout the whole American Idol thing. They say, oh, were you jealous, or were you...
Jackson would come up to me all the time.
Right,
like,
say,
yo, dog, your sister's got to go audition next year.
Your sister's got to audition next year, dog. And I was like...
Brandy, she's not going to audition for American Idol.
right.
I always said I would never want to put my parents through that twice.
Absolutely. Now, your family then has, since this has been part and parcel of your family life from the beginning of time, they've had to be obviously involved at every step, and they were involved in every step of the American Idol competition. They were present all the time, right? So they were always there.
Right.
Okay, and your dad...
he's a bigger celebrity than Katharine is, basically.
Well, he cried, right?
Yeah.
It was so funny. We went out to dinner one night, and this woman came up, Katharine, I love you, but I really love your dad. I was like, and so my dad was there, and I was like, go ahead.
And that's not just a thing that my dad does when the camera is on. I mean, we're talking like every cabaret show, every musical theater performance. Katharine was doing Annie, Get Your Gun, and she sang this song like, da 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 da, like not a crying song. And my dad, oh, it's just so beautiful. And I'm like, Dad, cut it out, you know. But I mean, that's an amazing thing. And I think for my dad, people come up to him on a daily basis and say, you know, I wish I had a dad like you. I wish I had someone who was open enough to cry, you know, and that's an incredible thing. And my dad is not one to be in the spotlight. You know, he's in production. He does more behind the scenes. But, I mean, I think that was important for us to go through, you know, to see our dad as, like, a sensitive person.
And you all go through it together.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, to a certain extent. How do you...
They go through it together.
It was hard. No, I mean, it was hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, I communicated with them, but, I mean, there was a definite lack of, you know, me being there with them. I mean, we were so busy and so tired, and you really didn't have time to sit around. And
it changed for a time. You lost sort of your grasp on, you were the person she spoke with.
Right.
And then this happens, and there are lots of people around her, and, you know, it's a changed relationship that you had to rebuild in certain ways?
Definitely. I think, I mean, for me, it was sort of an identity struggle because I felt like all of a sudden she was kind of belonging to the world as opposed to belonging to just our family. And that is something that you just go through, and it's a natural transition, but it was hard. You know, it was hard to not be able to talk to her, not find, because it's an incredible thing that's happening for her. And yet at the same time, she literally does not have time to be calling home and saying, and then I met Steven Spielberg, and then I did that, you know.
It's a big change.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, the way your stories are intertwined to such an extent that when an event as big as this enters the picture, it's got to change things.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've been able to handle it with grace is an amazing story, because you love each other.
We do.
We do.
Next, Katharine performed beautifully on American Idol, but inside she was keeping a painful secret. Stay with us. We're back talking openly and honestly with American Idol's Katharine McPhee and her big sister, Adriana. During your developmental years, right? You're honing your skills as a singer, and you're growing up, and as we alluded to, your mother was a voice teacher,
right,
and a singer,
right,
and performer. So it had to be challenging to, I'm saying it, I don't want to say it for you, it feels as though it would be challenging to maintain your identity in the face of having a gift so much like your mother's when she's so prepared to be helpful. Yes or no?
You know, I think that there was definitely a point where my mom and I think now that Idol's over, we've kind of been able to reconnect a little bit more, but I needed to come to a point where I was making the decisions for myself, and I was picking the songs for myself, and there was a lot of like,
That's so important.
I remember like watching Jay Leno with Randy Jackson, and he's like, so, and Catherine's mom gets extra coaching time with her, huh? It's like, no, she doesn't get any extra coaching time. No, she does everything else like everybody else does. I mean, and it does become like, you know, the mother is responsible for you know,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not like she trained me every day and she was my, you know, coach every day. It was like she really allowed me to kind of develop on my own.
And then you created a little extra space, because I mean,
Yeah.
even one of the judges, right, Simon Cowell, mentioned during the competition, listen, it seems like you're doing this for her.
Right. Well, this was the very beginning. Yeah, that was kind of my story. I mean, you have to remember, American Idol is a, you know, a TV show, and it's for ratings.
Sure.
And I was I have to say, I was smart in the sense that I knew I had to come up with something that was going to grab people's attention. And so I said, well, I was a voice teacher, and she kind
I
of
saw that.
She kind of is a stage mother. But it worked, you know, it created a story, but you also have to remember, like, when you come out with something like the bulimia story,
Sure.
you always have the backlash of what the effects are going to be, and those are choices you make, and you just deal with it as it comes, so.
Sure, and when you did come out with that story, the people you went to were your mom,
My mom.
your sister.
My mom, yeah, my sister.
Because you have a tight-knit family and you had relied on your mother, your dad, your sister for support, obviously they had given you enough encouragement that after a very long time you said, I'm going to tell the truth to these people.
Right.
And
right.
so how did that happen? Tell me how you did it. What was the moment you decided, I'm not going to keep this a secret anymore, I'm going to share this?
Yeah, well, I remember my boyfriend at the time, he had gone away on a Cancun trip, you know, like the seniors. I was still a junior in high school. They all go to like that crazy Cancun trip that I'll never allow my child to go to.
Mental note,
Don't
parents.
let your children go to.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to give you, he was going like for over a week, I'm going to give you a week for you to tell your mom, or I'm going to tell her. And I was like, fine. And I remember, like, I didn't have an exact time what I want, because I didn't want to tell her. You know, you never want to, like, reveal something that is uncomfortable to reveal. So
And what were you going to have to tell her?
that, you know, this is what I've been doing to myself for, like, the past 3 months, you know, binging and purging and, you know, starving myself. Towards the beginning, it was a lot of
It
starvation.
had gone on for years.
Well, yeah, after the fact that I told, you know, it still had gone on. It would be okay for a while, and then it would be not okay. I mean, you remember.
I remember.
Yeah, what was it like hearing that from your sister?
She remembers when they would all know when it was going on. You know?
I remember I was in shock and kind of denial because
So you hear this and you're like, this can't be.
I thought there's no way that my sister could have this, because we had talked about, you know, you go to the grocery store, you see tabloid
I could
magazines,
never be like that.
and never be like that. And can you believe syphilis? Because I felt like, what am I supposed to do? Because it was such a
And she had relied on
touchy
you.
subject, right?
I mean, you'd relied on her and living in such close proximity. I mean, living in a story like yours, where you
Right.
share so much,
Well, yeah, but I
you'd
think,
almost think you'd know everything about her, but of course.
but also I think like an eating disorder like that, months prior to that, separates you from your family anyway. So it was almost like a bringing together, because I was so in the
No,
dark.
I think that's exactly right. We're going to talk more about that when we return. Stay with us.